speaker today this morning, Major Stacy Roestel.
Some people live an entire lifetime and wonder if they've ever made a difference in the world. A veteran does not have that problem. Ronald Reagan, 40th President of the United States. History records large events or the general condition of society, but only an individual can put down the way of life in a small town. Gladys Tabor, author. Town of Breckenridge, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you, Colonel Simpson, for your invitation to share in this Memorial Day remembrance, where we take pause, in meaningful reflection, pay our respects, and to honor our nation's fallen. I want to thank our veterans here today, those warriors in the armed forces who wear the uniform, and those warriors who don the service uniform of days past. Thank you for answering your nation's call. To our Gold Star families, whose Memorial Day is every day. I'm honored to be here with you and pay our respects to those who gave all for us. As part of paying those respects, the action of preserving a memory, telling a story of someone who is not here to tell it themselves, and hopefully pass along any wisdom to be shared with generations to come. Therefore, I want to thank the Breckenridge Heritage Alliance for your devotion in the preservation efforts of your community, keeping alive memories and the history of a Colorado small town. Your contributions to preserve an Americana we've inherited are not overlooked, as those offerings enrich a proud legacy to be shared with our children and our grandchildren. Breckenridge justly represents the American small town, grounded in humble beginnings, teeming with Rockwellian appeal, and time passes just slow enough to appreciate what we have. It's the Mayberry, the Sicily, the Cabot Cove wrapped into one. Perhaps all the drama, save perhaps all the drama.
No.
You have a beautiful town here. Yes, you have a beautiful town here. And it's clear to me why those first placer gold miners found a home right here in Breckenridge. Your town, a town nested within those Purple Mountain majesties, we know from that timeless American hymnal, America the Beautiful, is undoubtedly a gem. Allow me to speak to that hymnal for just a bit. Originally written by Miss Catherine Lee Bates in 1895, America the Beautiful is a picturesque telling in the first verse of the land, the landscape, as if it was illustrating our state, the state of Colorado. From the spacious skies on high to the amber waves of grain below. Fun fact, it is about our state. Miss Bates wrote it while visiting Colorado in awe of the purple hue of the mighty Pikes Peak. Pikes Peak being the original name of her poem. In verse 2, she illustrates the stresses the pilgrims endured to the freedoms we endow across this great wilderness, and to the liberty of enacting laws over said wilderness. She acknowledged those laws, as imperfect as they may be, encounters with the redeeming God mends thy every flaw. And with God's grace, the sovereignty to make better those governing laws in our way of life. Then there's verse 3. A poetry as stark as it is bittersweet and alludes to the reason we gather here today. I recite, "O beautiful, for heroes proved in liberating strife, who more than self their country loved, and mercy more than life. America, America, may God thy gold refine, till all success be nobleness, and every gain divine." Carefully crafted that passage was, so unquestionable and intimate is its prose. To the soldier, the Marine, the sailor, the Coast Guardsman, the airman, the country before self-value strikes a particular chord. I dare not question their commitment to an ethos so sacred, especially one they'd die for, as many have, and who we honor here today. The first line of that verse, "So beautiful for heroes proved." The heroes. I know there are those among us here this morning who can answer what those heroes proved, as they have been their brothers in arms long ago. Some of those who can answer carry that burdensome torch from Lexington to Queenstown, from Fort Sumter to Gettysburg, from Gallipoli to Verdun, from Normandy to Pearl Harbor to Iwo Jima, from Andong to Incheon, from the Mekong Delta to Saigon, from Lebanon to Grenada, Bosnia to Serbia, Iraq, Kuwait, Afghanistan, our ocean's blue. So much our heroes proved on the ocean's blue. And myriad localities, foreign and domestic, that I have failed to mention here this morning. Those heroes prove they are willing to pay the highest price to ensure we, the people, continue to shape and deliver this carefully constructed concept the framers produced. Continue to invest in this idea called America, including small-town America. Those heroes in liberating strife made possible and continue to safeguard this investment. And in liberating strife, those heroes made the final sacrifice because they love their country so much more than self. It seems a cruel ruse for those heroes who authored chapters of America's story are unable to be here with us to see her story unfold. It seems a cruel ruse that the largest investors in this nation cannot reap what they have sown. They, those heroes, paid it forward in blood, all for a concept called America. I tell you this, town of Breckenridge, ruse or not, those hero sacrifices are not forgotten. We honor them today. We honor them every day. They were the best of us. Here at Valley Brook Cemetery, in this solemn and quiet place of rest, lay many heroes. Heroes that didn't speak loud about their patriotism. They didn't have to. They let their actions do that. In perfect translation, those final courageous actions spoke so loudly that there are few ways we can decently reciprocate. And that is to tell and retell their stories. We see their names aloud when we observe their markers. We try and live by the same principles as they have lived, and we pass them on. It is our obligation. It is our duty. We tell stories of when they were ordinary citizens, when they were masons, miners, carpenters, teachers, and store owners. We know where they sat at church or in the town council. We remember their ovations in the school auditorium as they cheered on the home team, or when they lined Main Street, USA during a 4th of July parade, waving the red, white, and blue in one hand and embracing a newborn with the other. Those stories we tell sell an America I want to live in, a Breckenridge I would want to live in. We heal as a nation because of those stories. We have the privilege to know how they have lived. And because of the price they paid, we endure as a nation. And we tell stories of those same people in extraordinary circumstances. They've taken extraordinary measures to ensure pillars of the ordinary remain robust and safe here in America. We shall speak proudly of the members of this hallowed fraternity, the ones who raised their right hands and swore oaths, fulfilling contracts to their abrupt conclusions. Over 1 million times have Americans completed their service short of their time requirement, and over 1 million times have Americans left behind their comrades, their communities, their loved ones. Their loved ones, that is, the Gold Star families, our Gold Star families. Their losses are not forgotten. They lent us their sons and daughters, husbands and wives, sisters and brothers to be our nation's sword and shield. And in return, they involuntarily received messengers in their dress uniform who proffered a greeting that likely began, "I regret to inform you." Small town Colorado reflects upon her fallen, as in the case of Sergeant First Class Will Dustin Lindsay of Cortez, Colorado, a proud member of the 2nd Battalion of the 10th Special Forces Group. Growing up, Will loved to hunt and fish. Teachers recall him as being a natural leader, and full of heart, and stepping up when no one else would. Right after high school, Will Lindsay found his calling, raising his right hand, and enlisted into the Army of July of 2004. But beyond his enlistment, Sergeant Lindsay had a roadmap, one that would make him a Green Beret. And it is no surprise that his natural leader achieved what he set out to do. Over a decade of service to his regiment and 7 deployments, 5 to Iraq, 1 to Tajikistan, and 1 to Afghanistan, did Sergeant Lindsay fulfill his commitment to the letter. Sometime in that decade of service, Sergeant Lindsay married the love of his life, Sarah. Together they had 4 daughters, and after work and between deployments, he relished the opportunity to watch endless Disney movies with his daughters and baking them the occasional German chocolate cake. But a soldier's life isn't a Disney movie. 2 months ago, while engaged in combat operations in the Kunduz province of Afghanistan, bravely fighting the Taliban, Sergeant Lindsay lost his life. His wife, Sarah, received the flag in its reverent and triangular fold at his funeral service days later. His death shattered the community of Cortez. Flags were placed along their main street while the township tried to make sense of their loss. From sunrise on Wednesday, April 3rd, 2019, until sunset on Tuesday, April 9th, 2019, the U.S. and Colorado flags were lowered to half-staff in his honor. U.S. Army Sergeant First Class Will Lindsay, we will remember you. In Colorado, a state that's had its share of casualties from the Civil War on, boasts many proud small towns that in turn boast many proud families. When a soldier is lost in battle, the road to recovery for both the family and the town are devastating. The toll of war impacts us all, whether we are the few hundred, the few thousand, and we all heal slowly. To the small town, say Breckenridge, the road to recovery in war can mean rebirth, renewal. Breckenridge became nearly extinct due to the American effort in World War II. Not only were young men leaving Summit County to join and die for the Allies across 2 oceans, but the Department of War ordered gold mining, the heart of Breck's economy, to cease. That 1-2 punch left Breckenridge gasping for air, a rarity at this altitude. Imagine Breckenridge as a ghost town today, where the scars of dredging operations were the only hint of civilization, a place void of community, void of culture, and no one here to raise the stars and stripes, or to gather here this morning. But instead, a new seed was sown. A resort town supplanted the mining town. Natural vegetation retaken root and was given new life along the heavily dredged Blue and Swan rivers. A paved road replaced the dirt one, and because of your resilience, your piece of paradise, your purple mountain majesties is shared with the world. In closing, as I stare into the crowd and into your faces, I want to address the veterans. I want to address the veterans who are still healing not only from the physical, but the mental wounds of conflict. Your resilience thus far is admirable, but you need to know you're not alone. When a system is broken, we rely on our battle buddies, our wingmen, to get us the help we need. They have been there for us in the past, and they will continue to be there for us in the future. We shall not face our hurt alone, but in numbers, as a community, as a small town, we can overcome. May God bless you, God bless our fallen, and God bless America. Thank you.